welcome back to the Matrix. You're not just in the Matrix, you are the Matrix. How's it feel, Neo? And today we got ourselves a banger daily market news and analysis. If you're new here, we're going to go over the news first, and then we're going to go into the charts, the TA, and then we're going to get into your guys' questions. Without any further ado, let's bring the action. Okay, top story is Visa Bridge announced new stablecoin link card coming to Latin America. So this is a big deal. So it's going to be with USDC and other things, and we're going to start to see the merge of the old system bridging into the new system, and I am pretty excited for this. This makes things more convenient. This things makes things more speed, and this brings more and more institutional money into the game, which is a big deal. Nothing is everything, but everything is something. President Trump says Treasury Secretary Basement is negotiating new trade deals with over 200 countries. And we've talked about this a little bit. Everyone assumes that the trade wars is going to be negative. It's going to cause this great grand recession. Dow Jones stock market's going to crash to the likes which we've never seen before. Right? All these things. But what if, hear me out, what if the trade negotiations actually long-term benefit everyone? And this is much ado about nothing. And Bitcoin actually bottomed like we talked about. I think there's a reasonable plausibility that that is the case. North Carolina, this is a big deal. North Carolina passes bill to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So this passed the Senate, from my understanding. And the governor is the last one that it needs to pass. This means whatever revenue that North Carolina is going to be bringing in, they would be buying Bitcoin with the excess. Everything is something. Nothing is everything. So this is a something thing. MicroStrategy strategy to raise $84 billion to purchase more Bitcoin. To put that in perspective, when Germany sold their Bitcoin, it was less than that. It was $44 billion, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if he's going to actually be able to do this or not. But if he does, this is massive. This is a lot of money. More money than what Germany held and what sold when they created a local bottom. So we'll see. I'll keep an eye on this story. We'll see what comes of this. Solana led all blockchains in revenue generation for Q1 of 2025. And this is the reason that I think that slowly, surely, inevitably, Solana and other DeFi ecosystems are going to chip away at Ethereum. Now, we're going to talk about Ethereum later on in the show. However, I do think eventually Solana is going to dethrone Ethereum. And it's as simple as you follow the money, you can see what the truth is. You follow the money, you can see what the truth is. Okay? Tether has announced they brought in $1 billion of profit in Q1 of 2025. But I thought Tether was going to depeg, Ski. That's what I heard. They're going to depeg and they're going to zero. And that's going to cause the big one. That's what's going to bring Bitcoin back to 30K, Ski. Well, apparently not. Because if you make $1 billion in one quarter, that's a big deal. Do they have an infinite money glitch? Yes. Yes, they do. Are they exploiting an infinite money glitch? Yes. Yes, they are. Are they doing anything other than what the governments are doing? No. No, they are not. No, they are not. All right, and with that, let's get into the charts, y'all. All right, and then I'm going to get into your guys' questions, comments, concerns, and we'll go to the chat. All right, let's start off with Bitcoin. It's at $96,286 as of the time of recording. It is May 1st, 2025. And it seems clear to me that Bitcoin has gotten its sign of strength, and it is deep in sign of strength, and perhaps is starting phase E. And what am I talking about? Of course, we are talking about right here. So we can even see I was very crystal clear that Bitcoin spring had already came in. That was the $74,400. To me, that was exactly what happened. Where I was less clear about was, were we at the test? Were we at the LPS? Were we at the SOS? I was less clear about that, but I did state the sign of strength would take us to about $95,000 to $100,000, and here we are. And not only that, but you would anticipate a little bit of chop at the SOS, which is what we got, especially looking on the 5-hour chart. That seems to be the very, very clear picture. So I'm not calling this to be the Mark E, which is what you would call the bull run, but it looks like it. Okay, now there's a couple critical levels that we got to get above. All of this is going to be resistance. I do not anticipate us to just break right through it the first time. I don't think so. I think that we're going to get rejected. The 702 is going to be a critical level, which is going to be $100,000. So this is a critical level with Fibonacci's, and this is going to be a critical level psychologically. Anytime you get to these psychological numbers, typically it's a hard pass to get through it the very first time. So I don't anticipate us to just break right through it, but the plausibility is definitely there. And this is one thing that we've talked about in the past, is things are boring until they're not. Grueling down until it's not. And when you get into the until it's not phase, it's very quick, it's very violent. When Bitcoin likes to reverse, people think they're just going to have forever. That's not what Bitcoin tells us it does. It's boring, boring, boring until it is not. The until it is not is very violent. And I talked about this in a short earlier. This is going to be a hated rally, in my opinion, whether we break through this or not. I think that we're going to get rejected, but it's there. Like, it's boring, boring, boring until it's not. And what I do know is retail is not on board with a rally until we have fully rallied past tense. For perspective, what we did from 74.4 to 97K, that's 4 years, 5 years of stock market gains. It's already done it. And a lot of y'all was asleep. The next macro target, though, whether we break through it the first time or we get rejected and reconsolidate, the next macro target for me for Bitcoin is $118,000. That would be the micro or the macro 1618, which is price discovery. That is where I'm keeping my eye on. And the big thing that I'm going to be keeping my eye on too is Bitcoin dominance. To me, still working on the UTAD. But we do have a bearish divergence right now for Bitcoin dominance. And this, of course, is what everyone's waiting for. This is what everyone wants. Everyone wants Bitcoin dominance to fall off a cliff because that means your altcoins are going to be rising. It has not happened yet. We have not broken this uptrend yet. We haven't even started going down yet. But there are early signs that this is a bearish divergence. And what do I mean? The price is rising as the RSI is on a downtrend. Okay? And of course, this is the buying climax, automatic rally, up thrust, UTAD. This is the reverse of accumulation. Accumulation is a bottoming structure. Distribution is a topping structure. We're just waiting to see a little chink in the armor. But the good news is, though, we do have some early support or help with Ethereum finally breaking the downtrend. Now, I don't think it's going to be just off. Good night, Charlene. However, Ethereum has been suppressed and beaten down for months and months and months. And so it's boring, boring, boring until it's not. In the medium term, though, I do anticipate at least a dead cat bounce to the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement for Ethereum, which is going to be about $3,000. We have finally broken this downtrend. Finally broken this downtrend. It's been months, and everything that's been in the ETH ecosystem has just been absolutely crushed because of it. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on this, and I do think with a rise with Ethereum to $3,000, you're really going to feel that with Rose, Theta, VeChain, Link, Quant, all these coins that Flux that are in the ecosystem of Ethereum, and this lackluster performance that we've gotten from Ethereum, I think are very much going to feel the heat of the sun while we're rising. Not Bitcoin dominance, but Ethereum dominance is finally getting a little bit of support here. This, of course, is a 5-year low. Okay, we need this to start to rise here and break this downtrend. I do think that this is the selling climax. The Dow Jones has had 8 days of green in a row, which is insane. And we're already at the dead cat bounce number of the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. So the question is, are we going to roll over? We've already printed a higher low, though, and this is now a higher high. So is this going to be a clean reversal? The big number is getting above the 702 Fibonacci retracement, which is going to be $42,600. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is because typically crypto trades with the Dow Jones. Sometimes it's a beat ahead or a beat behind, but generally you don't see one without the other. I do think that there will be a scenario where that eventually happens, but as of right now, what we really see from Bitcoin is 45 days after the Dow Jones makes an all-time high, Bitcoin makes an all-time high too. Everyone talks about the 4-year cycle and all of this and that, but really the strongest correlation that we see is Dow Jones making an all-time high, Bitcoin makes an all-time high within 45 days of that. That's what we really see. Okay, and the thing that I'm going to be keeping my eye on too, this clearly to me is a bottom. I mean, it's super overheated. I'm talking about the DXY on the daily now, which measures the strength of the US dollar. This generally trades inversely with crypto and the stock market. Now, this was a bottom to me. However, where are we going to go from here? Is it just going to be a dead cat bounce? Are we going to roll over at 102, 103? This was 3 years of support, and we broke through it. So is the support going to become resistance? I'm rooting for that because that would be good for crypto. That would be good for the Dow Jones. That's what I anticipate, but I do anticipate a little bit of a bounce, at least to 102, 103. And gold also trades inversely with the stock market, with cryptocurrency. And I said at 3,300 that I sold 30% of my gold because this to me was a topping structure and we had a bearish divergence. Now, I don't think that this is just going to fall off a cliff and good night, Charlene, or anything like that. I anticipate gold to chop sideways, which is going to be enough for risk on assets, in my opinion. All this is happening while M2 on China is just vertical, just straight up erect vertical, while M2 is making an all-time high. So all the stipulations are there. The storm is there for something very, very good. And the last thing that I'm keeping my eye on is XRP. I think that the cryptocurrency market has definitely bottomed. But the only thing that I have concerns with XRP is it's been following this fractal since 2023. And at some point it's going to break. But if it doesn't, we could get a back test even to $1 for XRP. I don't necessarily anticipate that that's going to happen. If it does happen, though, I will be adding to my spot position on XRP. My average price is about 20-something cents. I sold at $3.33. I sold 40% of my XRP. If we come back to $1, I'm adding to my spot position. If we don't, confirmation of breaking from this fractal is going to be $2.60. That would be confirmation that we have broken free and we are doing something else. And if that happens, I would just continue my normal exit strategy on XRP, which is going to be $5, $8, and $12. This is a big deal for me for the altcoins and Bitcoin dominance. This is why I'm paying so much attention to it, because not only Ethereum, but XRP too, in order for Bitcoin dominance to start to really fall over, we need to see the Solana to wake up, which it's starting to wake up. We need to see Ethereum wake up, which is starting to wake up. And ultimately, we need XRP as well. With that, let's get into your guys' questions, comments, concerns.